We are loving life on a beautiful Friday evening in the capital. The third edition of the London Invite technically doesn't start till tomorrow, but we're still here anyway. We had that little scrimmage between Canada and Clapham, but we have a proper game to get our teeth sunk into here with Team Canada taking on Great Britain Open. It's going to be interesting to see how both sides approach this game, actually, given that they are in the same pool, and not only will they be matching up tomorrow, but I believe that we're streaming it as well. Oh, I tell a lie. No, I don't tell a lie. We are streaming it tomorrow at 6:20, so a little preview of that for you now. Benjamin Rees having some fun in the sun, and yes, some wind as well. It has been blustery here this afternoon come evening. It's not just a one-man show, of course. Felix is manning the cams as he very pointedly points out behind me. I say running the cams. If you know how ULTI.TV works, that's also the cameras and the replays and production and everything. Because our production is nothing if not streamlined. Great Britain in the white and Canada in the red, as you've probably no doubt worked out by this point. Just trying to work out who's going to pull to start. And you can see that it is Canada with disc in hand, so we'll have GB on offence in the white going left to right to start the game. Christopher Tremblay-Jones had a bit of time to measure up this wind now. We'll pull to get proceedings underway. Mead tracks it towards the far sideline and lets it drop just out of bounds. So coming from the brick mark, Mead wearing the GB jersey of, I was going to say a couple of cycles ago, but of course we didn't have the last World Ultimate Championships because of the pandemic. But Mead will pick up from the brick mark to begin. Leading pass to space for Hillman. Now to McHale, wants to bounce that off to Mead, does he? No, instead swinging to Hillman, wide now. Here's Tom Cartwright. McHale just stops in position. It's the defender run beyond, and now floating back to Mead. GB comfortable with going backwards as long as they can retain possession, and Ford, I'm not sure whether he caught that or that caught him, but it is in hand. And I think the defender caught a piece of him as well there, Ricky McLeod. McHale finds Ford and then gets it back. Canadians forcing quite a piecemeal possession here from the Brits. It's not been fluid, but it's worked so far. And a bit of a shoulder barge there from Tremblay. Tremblay, Yoncas on McHale. Couple of yards away, centre of the end. Perfect position, you would feel, to get the end zone system in place. Cameron back to McHale. He seems more than happy going every other if need be. Ford showing the around. Instead, McHale drops just outside the end zone. But maybe some contact from Tremblay Yoncas, and it is an accepted foul. So this is going to stay with McHale. Swinging wide. Into space for Cameron. And it should have been the simple score to Hillman, but somehow they don't connect. Sang to Tremblay-Yoncas. Low pass, stays up. Hovers narrowly over the turf. Zipped in, trying to get a cutter, taking her off deep. Bringelin Powell picked up by Ford. And another deep cut going. This one is pounded into and against the wind. Trying to get Quinn Wilson going one-on-one against Mead. In the end, Mead didn't have too much to do. Mead picks up a couple of cutters, take off deep, and Mead spreading it long. Cameron and Cartwright in the area, and Cartwright just burns from coast to coast, end zone to end zone. A dime dropped there by Mead, and GB Open didn't get the clean hold they would have liked to start the game with, but they did get it in the end. It was a clear plan after the last possession was, very itty-bitty. This one, no fear, no hesitation. Pick it up, rip it. Cartwright and Cameron, all they had to do was decide who was going to get the score. And Cartwright, with his defender in the dust, gives GB Open the 1-0 lead. The sun beginning to peek away towards our left-hand side, so the temperature will drop a couple of degrees as the evening draws in. But honestly, pretty positive conditions. Yes, it's blustery, but that is a really good test, and you'd much rather have it now and get used to it, experience it, than go all the way to the Gold Coast and then find you're not ready and prepared. It also helps when it's windy, but it's also relatively dry and warm. First look at the Great Britain D-line, out at the Canadian O-line. Lloyd Fields and Comeyer to Brissett. The Canadians trying to just march their way down the field. GB being proactive. Broken down the sideline to Brissett. Auger Samar, compression tight on his left leg, but not his right. Comeyer, centrals Auger Samar, dishes it back, and Brissett tries to isolate Lloyd off the front, had the free reset to Auger Samar. Clapham, don't mind letting that go. The plan here is clear. We'll fill from the back, and we don't mind you taking those little handler pops to prevent anything going on away from the disc. Swing, oh, it blades nice and early. From a Great Britain perspective anyway. And Hall puts enough pressure to prevent Gallant making the catch. Warnock to Modiano. Modiano again gunning it into the wind. Bignall, it's tricky because it's over his head, and Bignall lays out and secures it for the score. I thought for a second he'd got himself in that most perilous of positions where it's directly overhead and you can't quite see it and you can't quite track it, and then you've got to slow down a little bit, let it go beyond, and then when you do, are you in position to make the catch on the recovery? And Bignall tracked it well, lays out just to make sure, and that's a break for GB Open to take the 2-0 lead. Tough shot this from Modiano because it's quite flat. You wonder if that's going to get blocked in the middle, and then Bignall, you wonder, has he missed his opportunity? And it's not the most graceful layout you'll have ever seen, but the most important thing is that it got the job done. It is also far more graceful than anything I have ever done. So who am I to talk? You don't mind getting a little bit of carpet burn from the AstroTurf when you come up for the break. Mariano and Bignall still a little bit of discussion about how could we have done that a little bit better? Because even though it was completed, it was the score and it was the break. These players are perfectionists and thinking, how can we make that a bit easier on ourselves? Maybe we're putting a bit more shape on the disc, either inside out or outside in, just so it's a little bit less tricky to track. Magnus Wilson with the pull. Canadians choosing to let it drop there, Bryson. Thought he could have accelerated into that, but with the conditions, I think he's feeling he must rather make sure that they get the catch first. The last thing they need is a drop ball, especially in their own end zone. Knapp. That's Brinjland and Powell. Collecting the little flip back. They've crossed Andy Hillman to play over to play some defence now, alongside his brother Dan. It's Crew. Just past the bidding defender, wearing the Japan shirt rather than the GB shirt. That's Warnock. And that one is a floater. You feel like Magnus Wilson's in position, and he does enough to put pressure underneath it and prevent it from ending up in Philip Turner's hands. Now the big man, but Dan Hillman powers his way up the line. He wants to get this one central and finds his brother Andy. Brooking finds the bounce back to the centre, and now they're stretching it wide. Not quite there, but Wilson has the follow-up pass in towards the end zone. And that is another break for the Brits, who have started this in a rip-roaring and rollicking fashion. That turnover on the first point seems a long time ago for GB, and you can see there Wilson try and hop his way into the end zone, realises that actually he's not quite there, unfazed, simple pass, backup was there, and the Canadians here taking a timeout, and this makes all the sense to me. 3-0, Great Britain leading over Canada Friday evening at the London Invite.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
You heard the squeaky Australian. If you want to get involved with ULTI.TV, follow us across all the socials. As we've got a lovely newsletter as well, so you can be notified whenever we go live and when there is free live Ultimate going on, wherever in the world that may be. This weekend, we are in what once upon a time I'd have called the greatest city in the world, London. I still might, depending on how much hospitality I've enjoyed. It's always nice to be back on my old stomping grounds. Not sure we can show that billboard in the background because they've not paid us for advertising. Get them off. 3-0, Great Britain lead Canada here on this, little pre-London invite warm-up, and we're delighted to be able to bring you it live and free on ULTI.TV. All the games we're streaming this weekend are live and free on ULTI.TV's YouTube channel, you lucky, lucky people. Canada was awkward, but well adjusted and well stuck, and you are going to have to be prepared and ready to make awkward catches in this weather, as that one is floating into the middle, and Modiano just pops up and leaps in front of Auger Samar. McHale centres to Gordon. It's really interesting seeing how GB Open kind of split their roles compared to Clapham, of course. Not that they are the same, but there is a lot of crossover. But drawing from some of the other clubs in the UK as well, of course. Here's Bignell just on the end zone line. And Modiano sells the big man Auger Samar towards the front of the end zone. He gets off balance. Modiano bursts into that space. It's slotted in before Canada can close, and 3-0 becomes 4-0. And Great Britain are running away with this on the home Astro here at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club. A little bit of double happiness there, the bookend from Modiano to boot. Must admit, that was some impressive sleight of hand. Although it came to naught. You see here Modiano just really attacks Auger Samar, and he turns the wrong way. He loses sight of the defender. Turns over his left and his right shoulder, and that provides the window that Bignell needs to slot it in there. 4-0. Great Britain looking pretty tasty early on in this one. Wilson looking ready to pull. Penny for Canada head coach Chris Artibello's thoughts right now, because this cannot be how they envisaged this going, especially given that they won that little mini scrimmage against Clapham 7-5 just before this. Of course, a bit difference in terms of the intensity, but you know, you feel like you're heading into this one on, you know, getting things clicking a little bit, and Great Britain have posed a different test entirely. Underhill to Mackenzie in the centre, and now Tremblay-Yoncas. Great Britain continues to shuttle through the defensive playbook. Mike Mackenzie looking to get it off that sideline. Goes back to Ian Mackenzie. And that one low into the centre, just about kept up. It seemed destined for turf, but big man gets his hand underneath it. Now Vogel on the far sideline, able to work it into the red zone, but they've been here before and haven't converted. That one rises and floats, not a problem for Underhill though, with Warnock breathing down his neck. Canada trying to get some break side flow going, but Great Britain put the brakes on. Mackenzie to Tremblay-Yoncas, picks himself up, being marked by Haynes in that future Marty McFly style hat. You know, from Back to the Future too. I know that was set in the past, that's not the point for now. It is being a real grind and a real slog for Canada's offense on this point. Great Britain just refusing anything longer than a few meters. the mustachioed Mike McKenzie. Good communication there, left for Ian McKenzie. And a foul on the mark. Looks like it's accepted as well. Past the bidding Brooking, not quite sure how he fitted it in there. And I'm not quite sure how Canada were expecting to fit it in there either. And Rag, full sails to secure. But out to space. The lefty, Magnus Wilson on the sideline. Actually the only Wilson on GB Open because Conrad is not making the trip out to Australia in September. He'll be suiting up for the Barbarians this weekend. A very savage-looking Barbarians roster at that. Accepted foul there from Quinn Wilson, marking Rag as the reset. So despite the intensity, it's been very fair-minded. It's exactly what you would want to see. Wilson burns into space in front of Vogel. Now Allen underneath. Wilson doesn't want the continuation to Haynes, instead to Brooking down the sideline. Rag beginning to peel into the deep space. Going short instead. Now Warnock really had to adjust. But he's explosive, is Warnock, and now breaks into the centre to Dan Hillman. A riser for the rangy Wilson. Magnet floating it to Hillman, over the defender as well. And everything is going Great Britain's way right now. Even when they get it wrong, they're getting it right. It's funny how good teams and good players always seem to get lucky, isn't it? Strange that. 5-0 the scoreline and the advantage, and this is getting away from the Canadians in quite a hurry. And it wasn't smooth sailing the whole way for Great Britain, because Rag did so well to snatch that one, and it could have been a nasty collision as well. And Wilson seeing the cut from Hillman, the edge just showing too much to the win, and it pushes it over Hillman, but over Quinn Wilson as well. And Great Britain have sped into a 5-0 lead here with just 20 minutes on the clock. This is an ominous marker laid down for the weekend by Great Britain Open, who will, of course, back themselves to take home the gold. The very short journey home, but I mean there is a lot of quality in all three divisions this weekend. But if you look at this Open division, you know, the two finalists from EUC last year, Great Britain, and the winners, Belgium, here, although Belgium are missing Aaron van der Weger, who tore his ACL at Windmill. Gutted, absolutely gutted for him. Belgians have had rotten injury luck at Wimbledon over the past couple of years. Mentioned how strong this Barbarians roster looks. We've got the Canadians as well. Whoever emerges on top of the pile at the end of it will have certainly earned it. Bit of pace and dynamism about Canada's offense, but they maybe got a bit ahead of themselves, really zipping it around, and the layout came, but in vain. The young spark plug Stonehouse couldn't come up with it. If you're not familiar with Oscar Stonehouse's name and game, I think that's probably something you should be, because in future years he'll be a big part of what Team Canada do. Quick hands from Modiano. Trying to find Woody. Ben Hall going up the line. And the inimitably inked Hall to Gordon. Now a seasoned vet. Lovely break inside to Hillman. Slides off the turf. Disc hit the floor. Canada seemed to think there was a turn. It's a lovely break from Gordon into the centre. And he tries to slash his way across the field. Yeah, it looks like he just maybe gets a shoulder in the back there of Malcolm Bryson. Doesn't make the catch. Did that affect it? I mean, should be a catch that Gordon makes. Unless he says he heard the foul call and he stopped, but you should be catching the disc anyway, just to make sure. But it is going to stay with Great Britain, but here's the clap of doom, and Canada will feel justice is served. There's a phrase, you know the one, I won't say it, but that must be how they're feeling. Now into the attacking red zone, Snyder. To Bryson. Can't fit that one in there. Rising stall, utilising some throw and go motion instead. Stonehouse, whose hat has left his person. The filthy mullet of Stonehouse, short to Bryson. Still Canada desperately trying to force their way over for the first time today, and they just about sneak it in there, jamming it in the jam hole to Raphael Lalonde-Landry. And Canada belatedly on the board, but 5-1. Feels like they may have dug themselves too big of a hole already. Here's how they got the disc back, but clapped it, but didn't have it properly over the centre of the disc. And it just weaseled its way out of his clutches. And Bryson, desperately looking for an option, just sees that space, and that little backhand popped towards the side for the score. And we're going to see Great Britain's O-line again for the first time since the game's first point. Robbie Haynes now of Chevron. Seeing Sam Cameron there as well. Conor McHale, Tom Abrams, Ashley Yo, Justin Ford, James Mead. So, yeah, pretty solid looking line at a bare minimum. Not quite a full power pose from the Canadian coaches. The Canadian Masters in the Open Division are here as well this weekend. Taking things in from the clubhouse balcony. Not a bad view, I'll be honest. Abrams. To Haynes to Mead, now at midfield. Leading Haynes to space. Well, there's a real verve about this GBO line, but Canada try and clamp things down and stop the quick, zippy disc movement. McHale wide to Haynes. It's become a little bit more workmanlike towards the end of the possession, but a travel call on the throw from Ford. You know, I see his point that Ford maybe is turning the corner a little bit on that one. However, how much of an effect was there on that one? Enough, according to the defender. Yo still has this underneath space unless they flash in there. But from the standing start, they couldn't. And foul on the mark. Accepted. I don't know why I'm doing the hand signal at home, you can't see me, but it was, trust me. going wide to Mead. Felix, in his confidence, seems to think that GB will get this in because he's kept the score on the board. Here's Abrams to Ford, to McHale, and they made it look easy and spared Felix's blushes in the end. This is a nice thing about being right next to him, is that I can cheer him out a little bit on commentary. 6-1, and Great Britain's O-line, having been off the field for about 20 minutes, didn't really look like it missed a beat there. If anything, it was more assured than the first time they took the field. Just those tiny inside seams, but they're slashing from that far side, so they're hitting those inside windows, but they're not throws with exaggerated angles. Just a little bit flat, a little bit of edge maybe into space, so they're not the most tricky throws, but they're still generating that break side direction. As the sun sets, well, I say sets, we are of course on the summer solstice, so we've still got a fair bit of sunlight left. Don't look directly at it, Felix. We'll go blind. But it is a magnificent evening here in London. It's almost enough to make me want to put some shorts and put some cleats on and get out there myself. Who knows, maybe the Barbarians have got a spare spot tomorrow. That Barbarians team, there's a lot of the Clapham players who are not on the GB Open or mixed sides. There's a fair few Irishmen coming over, some Latvians. It's looking kind of tidy, I won't lie. Ogier Samar working with Harris in the backfield. So Lloyd, a veteran of multiple world game cycles, who has it again now. Trying to shuffle his way free of Warnock. Gets out of his hand quickly to Brissett. And now on the far sideline, Harris once more. Ogier Simar. Into the centre. You can see the wind think about flirting with taking that away. Really do have to execute. That is a mighty tricky catch there, stuck by Bedard. And there was not much room there, but Brissett found it, and they found the score as well. First clean hold of the game for the Canadians. Yeah, in the red zone, in the end zone, those windows are not going to be big. And if you see them, you have to pounce upon them, as the Canadians did there. Third year of the London Invite. ULTI.TV once again providing the coverage for you. All of the games we're streaming this weekend, and that is as well as these two, well, 1.5 this evening, which technically not part of the London Invite, but we're just so nice that we thought we'd stream them anyway, given that we were here. 9 games tomorrow, and another 6 on Sunday. So, yeah, we are, as you can imagine, going to be working hard and bang on it to make sure we can bring you what promises to be a mighty fine weekend. Hopefully weather-wise, if nothing else, but with the teams on show in all 3 divisions, there's yeah, a lot of star power out here on the Grasshoppers grass. Be that natural or synthetic, and by the way, the natural fields behind me looking crisp as ever. Abrams to Hillman. Canada trying to see if they can outfox Great Britain, doing something different defensively. Yo continuing right through from the handler set. Ford putting a bit of air underneath it, looking for Cameron. Going to invite some pressure, and Cameron with the left hand snags it out of the sky with 2 defenders in blinking distance, not a problem for Sam Cam. And it's 7-2. Great Britain 1 away from the half in what has been a very consummate and professional first half performance. This is forward seeing the space, having the faith in Cameron that even if the defenders closed, Cameron was the man for the job. Cameron, of course, playing against his compatriots. Now naturalised Canadian who plays his club ultimate for Bristol, who are hoping to push for a place at EUCF in October in a new location this year. Actually, we're going to be in Ostend for the very first time, which I'm looking forward to because always nice to be back in Belgium. Modiano to pull. Going to ease up and die a little bit, and again, Canada, rather than feeling it on the full, Quinn Wilson picks up from the floor. The wily Sang, putting air underneath it. As this keeps the edge to go inbound, it could be brilliant, but Modiano had position all the way there. Jostling with Wilson, but I think that had such an accelerated edge out of the sideline that, of course, Modiano can really set himself in position in a way that Wilson wasn't able to. Gordon wants Hall underneath and finds him. Now Rag zipping it in, but Modiano had worked free of Quinn Wilson, but only maybe with the help of a pick. Is going to go back to Rag. And Rag, who so often sets the intensity for Great Britain and for Clapham defensively, with that blonde mop of hair. He's going to have the disc checked in there by Brinjland Powell. Wants to continue the break. Hall bids, and he flies through the air, but comes up in the end with just a face full of rubber crumb. Canada shooting deep again. And that time a nice box out created by Mike McKenzie. Just forces Bicknell to go up early, didn't have a shot at it, and brings down the catch relatively uncontested in the end. Canada making it work at the second time of asking. Huck, they just measured a little bit better. The edge a bit less exaggerated and accentuated. And the more direct route to McKenzie pays dividends. Also felt like they're in a better position for this. Less pressure on the thrower, getting in that power position without the force. Just making sure, do I have the edge to take it round the defenders in the way? Yes, but not making too much of a point of it. And there is the mustachioed Mike McKenzie. Of course, when you're kind of thinking about putting together a team in a country that covers such a landmass as Canada, which is, you forget how absolutely vast it is, that it can be tricky, you know, bringing players from two opposite halves of the country, finding that harmony, finding those connections, making sure everyone is on quite the same page. You know, you're thinking of those main ultimate hubs, maybe of, you know, your Vancouver with your Furious Georges, you've got Goat in Toronto. others like Winnipeg's General Strike, or maybe you got some Mephisto of Montreal. It's tricky because how can you get everyone on the same page when you're not necessarily going to be able to have regular training weekends, because Canada's quite so big, and as my Canadian friends will tell me, it is not cheap to get around in. Cameron to McHale. Oh, he had his pocket picked there by Bryson. Heart in mouth moment from McHale, accepted. But that will be an energizer for Canada, certainly. Forward to McHale. To Abrams. Going with the blade, air underneath it. And Haynes with a bit of toe drag, swag on that far sideline. I thought for a minute when that was quite so lofty from Abrams that had he got himself into a little bit of danger, but Mum measured it wonderfully. And Great Britain have an 8-3 lead on the Canadians going into the half, a half in which you can't say they haven't been good value for it, in all honesty. Raced out to a 5-0 lead and have just traded from there. But they've put pressure on consistently. Canadians really finding struggles with it. And you can see there, McHale seemed pretty convinced that he had two hands on that. And Bryson, to his credit, agreed. And Abrams lofting the truss throw into space. Bit of fancy footwork on the sideline from Haynes for the score. 8-3 then. Great Britain leading Canada. This little showcase friendly match on a beautiful Friday evening here at the London Invite.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend. Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Help us go electric, become a member.
Enjoying the show? Show your support for the live stream and the people making the show. Buy a super chat or super sticker on YouTube directly. Select your donation and type your message to the world. And share. All donations go into directly funding new shows. Buy a super sticker or super chat now. Thank you.
Those who do not know their history can never relive it. The skies, the dives, the sideline smiles. Our past is held in photo albums, drinking stories. The present is a gift. And here at ULTI.TV, we want to make sure we always appreciate it, capturing the immortal moments of Ultimate from around the world and making sure everyone can enjoy them for free, forever. Because the future belongs to all of us.
Great Britain 8, Canada 3, half-time on this Friday night friendly at the London Invite 2024, the third edition of this wonderful tournament, coming to you live from the Grasshoppers RFC, which I assume means Real Frisbee Club. No one can tell me otherwise. I know it's Rugby Football Club, right? You don't have to ruin the illusion for me. Some grey cloud over towards our right-hand side, and actually kind of maybe hovering in a few places in the distance, but I think we should hold up long enough. The wind is pushing things through, and you will have seen the effect that that's had on various discs at various points this evening. Canada will be receiving to begin the second half. Alexis Long looks like he's going to have the pulling duties for GB. Probably thought about more as an offensive weapon, but leading things from the front on the D-line for the national side. One of, well, depending on how you think of it, 4 or 5 national sides in the Open Division this weekend, because as well as these two, you've got Belgium, you've got France, and you've got the Canada Masters as well. We've also made the trip over. And for Canada Open, they're doing back-to-back, having been at Windmill last weekend as well, trying to test himself against some of Europe's best in preparation for the World Ultimate Championships in the Gold Coast in September, and maybe seeing if the hand is hot with that hammer over the top, but the wind has blown it cold. That time Bedard flashes in front of Long looking for the block. But the reach around causes the foul. Long to Brooking. Fakes down the line and swings instead to Long. Wants the continuation to Gordon. Trying to worm his way free of Lloyd's clutches. That one looked like it was tipped, but Brooking made the catch anyway, and now Butt watches it into the bucket. To Bignall. Bignall utilising the lefty to create that angle down the sideline, and the big man Butt just snatches past the bidding Cam Harris, who I wonder if he's hurt himself on landing. I think he might be okay. I think Butt walking away just to give him a little bit of space. It is a break for Great Britain. You see there from Bignall whipping it down the sideline. And I'm not quite sure how Butt was able to snag that in front of Harris, but utilising those long arms to good use. Just goons his arms in there and snatches away. And Harris, I wonder if he just landed on that shoulder somewhat. Hopefully he's just jarred it and nothing more. The fact that they've not summoned immediate medical attention is probably a good sign. And a break to start the second half for the Brits. Home nation looking pretty comfortable with a commanding advantage. Cross McHale over to the D-line here to pull. I know that he likes these zipped rollers. But this one going with the blading backhand, not fielded cleanly, but picked up on the hop by Knapp, who will be abundantly familiar with a lot of these players, having suited up for the Bullfrogs last season, as that one is just a drop. Bullock as the hammer to Warnock. Well, Rag playing with fire, and Warnock is hot to trot. I must admit, when that went up, I was To say sceptical, I'm not sure was quite doing it justice, but I think this is what Great Britain are feeling like now. We're going to strike quickly. We're going to compound the misery for you. Slotting that one in there. Warnock comes up with the goods. 10-3 now to Great Britain. It feels like a little bit of a Murphy's Law game for the Canadians. Everything that can go wrong pretty much has gone wrong for them. And Great Britain, I think you know it's your day when you're throwing shots like that and you're seeing them come off. Because, you know, we saw on the previous point, hammers in this wind are not an easy thing to throw. Rag released it with a lot of verticality, and Warnock made a really tough catch. Gordon and Ford have been stalwarts of Great Britain for well over a decade now. I'm sure they won't mind me saying that. It's not a secret to anyone. Great Britain continuing to, I think, maybe put some of their O-line players out to defence to get them a bit of run here, because you're seeing Tom Cartwright and Sam Cameron out there now. And Cameron actually has the disc in his hand to pull. Not often you see players wear knee pads outdoors, but maybe with the abrasive surface. Cameron? Sure. I'm sure that's what Sam's taught for. Feels the need to. Backhand down the centre of the field. Slows and skims just shy of the end zone, where Underhill finds Sang. Crafty thrower, Sang. This time just goes short to Underhill and gets it back. Great Britain continuing to mix up their looks defensively. Tremblay-Yoncas to Vogel. Now Underhill. Thought the lead pass could have gone in front, but instead Sang in and out of his hands in a flash and into the hands of Jordan Vogel for the score. They were not hanging around on that possession, Canada. There seems to be, I think, more of an assuredness about what they were doing. Keeping the disc ticking over, not getting stuck into too many higher stall counts. This was maybe the longest possession, and in the end, not a problem. And then in and out of Sang's hands in a flash, saw the window, hit it confidently, and Vogel gets the Canadians on the board in the second half. As you see Mark Lloyd with disc in hand ready to pull. And oh, I thought maybe, he is deciding against it. He's going to leave it for Maliko Jessamar instead. I'm sure Felix knew that was happening, and that was why he zeroed in on it. Temperature dropping a degree or two as the sun slowly disappears beyond the scrubs and trees towards our left-hand side. That haven't really provided too much of a wind break, in all honesty, because it is still whipping across West London here. That's going to be an awkward pull to field. Hillman stops the roll and spreads to Mead. Now Ford. Defender flashes in and bails. GB sideline. Quite loud calls Zoney, and they'll transition their offense appropriately. Mead with a pump fake. McHale to Mead in the centre. Now zipping it to Ford. Back off to McHale. Pump fakes that one. There's, I feel like Mom was screaming for a pick for a good 2-3 seconds before they eventually realised, and you see it there, quite why Hillman has got so much space deep, because Gallon couldn't get into position with Abrams crossing his path. Great Britain coach Tommy Garwood on the sideline in front of me, taking notes. Love to get a read through of these notebooks. So McHale goes wide to Hillman. Canada forcing a much slower possession from Great Britain. Hillman to McHale in the red zone now. Can he find the window through down the line to Ford? Of course he can. 11-4, clean hold for Great Britain. And maybe took them the first third of the field to adjust their offense accordingly. But once they'd made those changes, cleared things out a little bit, opened up that space, and Ford down the line. If the throw goes early enough, it's so tricky for the defender there, James Lewis, to close that gap. GB 11, Canada 4, as you can see there on the scoreboard. And it's been a very good evening's work so far for the Brits. Ben Funk there in the black. Looks like he's been warmer, I will say. He's been in the UK long enough by this point, he should be used to it. Because unfortunately, this is often about as warm as it gets over here. Actually, with climate change, that's not true. It's been perilously hot this past couple of years. Modiano just gesturing, trying to indicate the edge and the angle he wants on this pull. Tipping it down the sideline. Nat Fields and now Bryson trying to beckon a little bit of closer support. Lalonde Landry on the sideline. Can he find a way to get it into the middle? He can. Dan Hillman is barking instructions on this near sideline. Bryson trying to run through it with Stephen Crew. Great Britain just beginning to lock down a little bit. Oh, the flash in there, nearly got there, didn't. Can't take advantage. Great Britain, can they? Oh, wanted to sneak it in there to Knapp. And it seemed like the Brits were expecting it and the Canadians were. Hall, oh what a throw that is. The inside out backhand on a plate to Brooking. Woody, that's something else. I think he wanted the outside in backhand down the sideline, but the sideline was a little close in, so he didn't have it, and he opened his body up, cut across it with that inside out, the voluptuous shape into the end zone, and a huge hug there between Hall and Brooking, and why not? Because that was a throw of real class and quality. See it on the sideline. Whoop! Nearly decapitated Mackenzie in the end, but he adjusted so quickly. And this is a frozen rope to Brooking. I mean, just almost handed it over to him. A remarkable throw. And those who've watched the European scene over the past couple of years, probably more used to seeing Hall in a coaching role. Been involved in the coaching setup with Bristol for a number of years, but it's kind of forgetting what a weapon he is when he's out there on the artificial grass as it is this evening, and why he's, you know, such a respected member of this Great Britain squad.
Red line.
12-4 then, Great Britain over Canada. It'll give them a huge confidence boost, not that many of them needed it, going in to the weekend. The roll deceives Underhill a little. It's going to allow GB to get their fangs in deeper defensively. Mackenzie on the sideline. Tried to fit it through the window and it just skipped through the hands of Ian Mackenzie. So many just simple errors like that today from Canada that you feel like these two sides play again, there's no way they make that many, but Great Britain have capitalised on them generally when they have. Now Rag, trying to marshal the D-line offence. Try to throw maybe through that contact to the break side space to Cartwright. Looks like an accepted foul to me. See Bignell on this near side here. Wouldn't surprise me to see him clear through. Dished off back to Hillman, and now they're trying to work the break side again. Hillman bounces and has the defender in the spin cycle. Can't keep up with the short, sharp change of direction there of Andy Hillman. Great Britain have the finish line in sight. 13-4. I must admit, coming into the game, I think you probably maybe had Great Britain as favourite on home soil, although we hadn't necessarily seen them as a unit so far this season, whereas Canada had a lot of good work under their belts from Windmill last weekend. But Great Britain just have been a cut above their opponents in this contest. Yeah, just maybe you wonder if Bringel and Powell's just caught peeking in the backfield a little bit too much. And that is the window that Hillman needed to burn free to that open side. Magnus Wilson, a wily veteran himself by this point. If you're wondering how old you need to be considered that, at this point I think it's older than I am, which I won't tell you how old it is. I'll just say that I'm looking forward to playing Masters next year. I assume I'll make the squad, I don't see why I wouldn't. I see many reasons. Don't push that. Wilson's pull. Again, Canada choosing to field from the floor with Komeyer. Just that extra second and a half, 2 seconds it takes for Canada to get their offense going and allows GB to just get the shackles on a little bit quicker. I wonder how important that might be. Harris. On the backhand, finds Brissett. Brissett tries to float that one over the top, looking forwards the back cone. And it was too much on the end for Komeyer. Would have had to really fit that on the postage stamp in the corner of the end zone. And I don't mind Canada, chancing their arm a little bit here, because you do have to utilise this deep game. You do have to stretch things, because otherwise they will really sit and poach on these unders. But there was not a huge window there. Mead and Knapp bantering with each other on the sidelines. Andrew Warnock, still poised, composed, saying to the sideline, can you just give me a little bit more space in case we need it? Rag, oh, that's going to float. This is super dangerous. And it's Modiano where he was required. You feel like if Canada had thrown that, somehow Great Britain would have got the Callahan, but Great Britain have gone away with those today, and Canada have not. Warnock. Wilson trying to scurry his way through as the reset. Stoppage potentially for a bump on the mark. Why don't you be away from the disc now? Think about now that I get another look at it. Disc is going to be checked in. Warnock spreading the break around to Cameron. Now Rag. Certainly feels like not fully firing on all cylinders, but Modiano for Cameron to run onto in the deep space, and just sitting that one up there for Magnus Wilson. Never had to break stride. Just looked like Great Britain had lost their fluidity a little bit. Just sit it up into space. And Cameron, this is a wonderful position to be in when you're running onto it, you're seeing things develop in front of you. He has time to scan around, have a look, where are my next options? Do I have anything close? No. Do I care about the wind and putting this up to the end zone? Also no, it turns out. And it was on a plate for Magnus Wilson. Great Britain just one away from the win. This has been, maybe somewhat appropriately in London, a bit of a boat racing. Something there will be a lot for both sides to digest and dissect overnight if they watch the replay on this one. Going to leave it for McHale to pull. There's GB's Brain Trust. How tight can you get on that clipboard, Felix? Oh, Ian McKenzie's in the way. Oh, I thought we might have a little shot in there. For a moment, I thought he'd realised. I imagine it's just got "Play Good Frisbee" written on it. That's all you need. Well, the hang time on this one, but I think that's going to continue to go and go and go. And it almost landed on the balcony. Canada will brick that. And the wind, all of a sudden, has really picked up again. Just as Canada are going into it. As the wind thunks it off Bullock's chest. But was there to help swat it away as well. And Warnock says, actually, you know what? This isn't for me. Connor, you can have it instead. I think he wants a replacement. Maybe there was a little bit of a stud mark in it. That'll do. Squeezes the inside window through to Bignall. Bignall to the end zone. Tall. Great Britain have not done it just yet. There's a pick. But they really have been great and more this evening. Bignall bouncing it back with McHale. But tries to clear space at the front of the end zone. Pick, I think. Could have done with some clearer hand signals. And on the very next pass, McHale to Warnock. Canada just looking around inquisitively. And there will be some inquisition this evening because Great Britain have put the Canadians to the sword. They looked slightly punch drunk out there in the end. 15-4 final score. Cannot say enough good things about how Great Britain just took down the Canadians in this game. The offense was nearly faultless defensively. They had a number of different looks, continually kept the Canadians on the back foot. And, you know, there were times when they rode their luck. I think, looking back at it, there were some errors from the Canadians, which, again, you know, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth if they make them. You don't question why, necessarily. You take advantage of them, and you see what they give you. But, you know, those pop-ups, the wind-assisted throws that for Canada never seemed to go to hand. For Great Britain, there was always someone in the right place at the right time, and part of that is being heads up and being ready. But on another day, you know, maybe that doesn't go your way and you get a closer game. But Great Britain, as we have a look through the replays of this game, not give Canada a sniff. Took a 5-0 lead, 8-3 at half, and won the second half 7-1 as well for a 15-4 final score. That was maybe the one opportunity for Canada where things did quite work out in their favour, but too often it was when those discs did pop up, they were bobbled, they just wouldn't quite stick for Team Canada. And they will know that there is work to do this weekend if they want to become a medal contender at the World Ultimate Championships on the Gold Coast of Australia in 3 months' time. This was the play of the game for me. That not enough time, I think. So many highlights. You look at these sick layout Ds or, you know, towering skies, and not enough time. You just see a picture perfect throw that you can hang up in the Tate Modern. A modern masterpiece there from Hall, and in the end, McHale to Warnock to put the game on ice. A little over 12 hours before we are back with you here at the London Invite, getting started bright and early tomorrow morning. 9 games for you on Saturday, 9 till 9, all day live and free on ULTI.TV, and another 6 on the Sunday as well. Aren't we good to you? Well, I'd like to think we are anyway. A huge thank you to Felix Schadler, who's been the one-man wrecking crew behind me, giving himself a round of applause. He's standing in the one spot where the pole cam can't film him, which is underneath the pole camera, doing the camera work, doing the replays, everything that makes the production tick. Thank you to Felix. We'll have the maestro Mikey Palmer with us this weekend as well, which is lovely. And it's not just going to be me this weekend. You will get somewhat of a break from my voice, which is, I think, best for everyone involved. I've got a revolving cast and crew with commentators alongside me in the booth here at the London Invite as well. A pleasure to be back for the 3rd edition of this tournament, which gets underway properly 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, starting in the women's division with an all-UK affair between Bristol and Sick, and I'm sure that I will see you here for that one as well. Final score here on this Friday evening at the Grasshoppers Rugby Club is Great Britain 15, Canada 4. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning for London Invite at 9 o'clock UK time. Benjamin Rees for Felix Schadler behind me. We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Milan. I mean, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
Things that I should do, so I can't forget, but you're always on my mind. Thought you'd be gone by tomorrow, but you're still there tomorrow, and the next day, I wish I wouldn't remember how you make me feel better in the best ways, I know why we say goodbye, but can we turn that bye into hello? I know how to love you now. No matter what I do, I can't let go. I don't know how to forget you. I can't forget you. You're always on